Hello guys! Anybody who's seen one of my driving videos before might quickly realize that this one's going to be different than any of the other ones you've seen in the past. And the reason why this one is different is because you don't actually hear the live driving sounds, and that's for one main reason: I don't want my video to be copyrighted. So all of the footage you're about to see was taken on my road trip around Florida, and since I'm in the car, me and Lizzie are talking together, and also I'm listening to music, so I'm just not able to put that into the video like that. So I decided to just silence the drive and then do a voiceover later on, and that's why this video is a little bit different than what you're used to in the past. However, I'll do my best to narrate the drive like I normally do. So this drive is starting off in Juno Beach, Florida, and we're taking A1A all the way up to Port Salerno. This part of A1A was probably one of my favorite parts of A1A, and the original idea was to drive all of A1A, from, let's say, West Palm Beach all the way up to St. Augustine, or actually up to Georgia where it ends. But I decided not to do that, and you'll see why later on in this video and some of the other driving videos I'll put up from this trip. But basically what it comes down to is driving A1A is not as magnificent and glorious as one would think. Oh, and by the way, before we go any further, anybody who saw my first video with the trip around Florida, right here is actually where we stopped to check out the beach over there, which a couple of viewers, they corrected me. This is not actually Juno Beach anymore. This is already part of Jupiter Beach, getting up into this area. But just up the road is where we parked and actually went out to the beach and checked out the whole area. So the reason why I decided not to go A1A all the way up is because A1A splits off a lot. You have to go A1A like this, and you have some beautiful scenic areas, and there's a very beautiful scenic area coming up later in the video, and those parts are great. But the parts that aren't so great definitely detract from driving up A1A and make it less than exciting a lot of times, because some parts of A1A are just absolutely boring. It looks like any other road that you've ever driven down in your whole life, and only these pretty stretches like this make it worth it. But the thing is, you don't really know, where the nice stretches are and where they aren't until you just do it, and that's what I found out by doing it. So, but as you can see, this whole area driving up through Jupiter Beach is just beautiful, guys. I mean, obviously you're right next to the ocean. You don't see that many high rises on the beach. It's mostly low-rise buildings next to the beach, and a lot of the parking in this area is free, I noticed. So that is great as well, and it just seems like an overall great place to live. The traffic isn't insane. There's not too many people or huge crowds, trying to cross the street or get to the beach. Maybe on the weekends, I'm sure things get kind of crazy, and it's harder to find parking and things like that. But that should be expected in any beach town. When you have a bunch of people that want to go and enjoy the nice weather on a day like this, it's hard to not want to go to the beach, essentially. But I really enjoyed this part of the drive, and I definitely want to come back to this area and just explore it a little further just for fun. I'm not sure if I would ever want to live here, mainly because it still has the South Florida climate, and that would be something I'm trying to escape if I leave Miami Beach. So given the fact that it's still pretty much just as hot as Miami in this area would be the main deal breaker for me. But if that wasn't the case, I would highly consider it as an option for somewhere to relocate to, because essentially this whole area is very peaceful. I love the beach in this area, and you still have everything that you need in a regular town center. You still have all of the major grocery stores, a lot of nice restaurants and things like that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, this area up here where you see all the cars on the right, this is where we ended up deciding to park somewhere up here, and that's where I shot a lot of the first video from the trip. So anybody who's looking to go back and experience this area, you can check it out. And in case anyone never realized this, the GPS coordinates for where I'm at exactly are in the lower left-hand corner of the screen from the dash cam. So at any moment in time, you can pause this video and copy down those GPS coordinates, pop them into Google Maps, and you can see exactly where I was at the moment in time, in the same frame of this video. So that's pretty cool. And I actually used that to give the exact starting and ending points for this drive with the map, since I have the map of the drive linked down in the description below. Yeah, you can see me pulling over here. I left that part in just so you could see exactly where I stopped, and then here we go after we left. So I basically pulled over, shot the video over there for a little while, and then we moved on because the goal was to make it all the way up to Melbourne, Florida on this day, and that's still pretty far away from Jupiter, especially when you're taking A1A, which is the very slow route. It's definitely the scenic route in a lot of cases, but in a lot of cases it's not, and you'll see what I mean in a little while. Now, obviously, this area is beautiful, guys, but it comes at a cost, let me tell you. As beautiful as it is, we're talking like the median house prices here in Juno Beach are like $593,000, and then in Jupiter it doesn't get much better, but it's still $466,000, and that's just median, meaning in the middle. So it does get a lot more expensive than that, and probably not that much cheaper, I would imagine. So that would be another big drawback to moving to this area for me, because I'm not rich. So I can't afford a house like that, and I wouldn't be moving to this area because I don't want to be spending all of my money on housing every month. And then also, like I said, still having the South Florida climate. But it is a beautiful spot. Actually, anybody who's seen one of my videos in the past, the Zillow videos, this place we just passed on the left was in one of those Zillow videos I did a while ago. I think it was oceanfront condos on the beach that were like less than $300,000. So yeah, there's a perfect example. You can still get something cheaper in these areas, but not a lot cheaper. But I suppose if you can afford it, and you do enjoy the South Florida climate, but you don't want to live in an area that's as insane as Miami or Fort Lauderdale or anywhere down there, then you should definitely give Jupiter and Juno Beach a serious look, because you get that South Florida climate and the South Florida price tag too. Let's be realistic, but it's definitely a lot calmer up here. Seems like a great place to raise a family. In fact, one of my good friends that grew up in Miami, he actually moved to Jupiter not that long ago for that very reason. Miami's kind of getting insane, and he's got kids now, and Jupiter's a pretty good place to raise a family. So one thing about driving up A1A is you see how we're going around this bend right here, and the beach is disappearing? Well, that happens a lot when you're going up A1A, and that's the kind of annoying part about it. And this part right here isn't so bad because you're able to reconnect with the beachfront road in a little while, but some stretches of A1A really push you far inland, and then it basically turns into US 1 for a little while. Sometimes the roads merge, and it can be a pretty boring drive in those areas versus being right on the coast like that and seeing what's all along the beach. Because I thought the entire ride up A1A would be like this, going up the beach, but the reality is it's not. And I guess the reason I thought that is because where I live, that's how it is. Going up A1A, you really don't leave the ocean side until you actually get up near Dania Beach. Then you got to cut over through Dania Beach and then go up US 1 through Fort Lauderdale a little bit before you can get back on A1A. So, I didn't really realize how many times that would happen as we were going up A1A. And so that's why I kind of started wanting to scrap the idea of just going up A1A for the whole trip, because it would just take way too long. And since it was not as exciting or as appealing as I had hoped, I figured, you know what, let's just speed this up a little bit. I think on day 2, that's when we decided to speed it up, after we left Melbourne and we headed up through Satellite Beach and all of that. At some point, I think we made it to, I want to say, near Port Orange, somewhere in that area. And then the next day we were like, you know what, we're not going to drive from here all the way up to St. Augustine on A1A. We're just going to take 95 and get up there a little bit faster so we have more time to see what's in the area. Because, taking the scenic route can be great in certain instances, but sometimes it's just flat out boring and you wish you were moving through the area faster. And you really don't know when it's coming and when it's not unless you've visited the area before. Like, you can see this whole area we're driving through now is just like any other ordinary town. There's nothing special about driving up A1A during this stretch right here. But we do get back over by the beach, and I promise you that the best part of this video is yet to come, because I believe once we got on the next stretch of the oceanfront area, that's when things really started to change for the better, and we ended up driving through this beautiful neighborhood. In fact, I might even just cut it right here and skip straight to that part so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So I decided to resume the video right in this spot because you kind of see here how we have to cross back over another bridge, which basically this waterway is an intracoastal waterway, and then the buildings you see straight ahead are on the beach. And this is like essentially picking up back on A1A near the water. And this is the part of the video where things really start to get prettier and prettier, because as we were going down this road here, you could start to get to see like the intracoastal waterway on the left hand side coming up pretty soon, and then lots more lush vegetation, some beautiful homes and things like that. So you're going to be in for a treat at this part. In fact, this was one of my favorite stretches of land that we drove through in the entire trip. It was just so pretty in this area. Obviously, ungodly expensive too, but you know what? That comes with it. Not everybody can afford to live here. In fact, most people can't. But it's nice to visit and nice to drive through the area and see what else is out there in the world. You see, you got like the water there on the left. Of course, free parking, and there's like a little park there on the waterway to the left, and you can just go over there and launch your kayak or your canoe or your paddleboard, something like that. And this whole area is just beautiful. And just wait till we get up near the more residential part with all the houses and stuff. It was just a pleasure driving down this part of the road. Pretty soon we'll pass a few more high rises on the right, but after we get past those, it's going to be all just single family homes, and it's just like this little enchanted forest basically that you're driving through. It's just so neat. But I don't want to speed this part up just because I want you guys to see how tastefully done this area is when it comes to having condos on the beach. You can see they're not super high. They're not completely right next to each other. Each building has its own space. Most of them are mid-rise buildings except for the one we just passed. And the cool thing about if you live in one of these condos, pretty much you can't go wrong with the view. If you're on the west side, you have that beautiful intracoastal view over there and the sunsets. If you're on the eastern side, you got the ocean view. Maybe you can see a little bit of both from one of those units. But I would imagine those buildings would be pretty cool to live in because of that. Here we go. Here's the part I've been promising you. It just starts getting more and more beautiful from here on out. And this road is like very small and narrow. This is like a really, almost like, it feels like a hidden stretch of A1A. I definitely wasn't expecting to come across this. I knew A1A would be beautiful going up the beach like that, but this was a surprise for me. And obviously, you can't see the properties that well. You mostly see a little bit of the yard and their driveways because I'm not driving into people's yards here, but you can kind of see that these are like some estates here. These aren't just little houses by the beach, these are full on estates. And the people who own these houses must be extremely wealthy. I don't know who owns them. The cool thing is a lot of these houses have names. It's kind of tough to see in the video, but if you pay attention down by the mailboxes and where they have the addresses, there's little signs that have like the names that they decided to call these properties. So it seems like most people in this neighborhood, they name their property after whatever they choose. Like that mailbox we just passed, this one up here down on the left, you can't see what it says, but you saw the little sign there. So everybody just like names their house after whatever they want, and that's like the name of their villa. I saw one, I think we were in Sanibel Island, and somebody had the name Bougainvillea Villa or something like that. These little creative names based on whatever they want to name their house. So since I've never really done the driving videos like this, narrating them after the fact while I'm sitting here watching it and editing it, I want to just put some music into this part of the video. And for like the next 18 minutes, I'm going to be going down this road, and I just don't have anything else to say about it. So you guys can just see it and enjoy the beauty of this beautiful stretch of A1A. I'll throw some music up, but after that part's over, I'm going to have like a fast forwarded segment of the video showing why A1A is not all that in some areas. So make sure you stick around for that, or you can at least fast forward to that part, but I recommend sticking around for this part because it's the prettiest part of the entire drive. So I will be back at the fast forwarded part. Well, anybody who's still here, I appreciate you sticking around. I know, like I said in the beginning, this is not the typical type of driving video, and the future ones that I post from this trip, I'm probably going to break down into much smaller segments. But here you go. Here's the fast-forwarded part of the really boring part of A1A. And as you guys can see, it just looks like any town, America. You're riding right next to a railroad track here. You don't see any ocean. You're driving past just developments, trailer parks, businesses, whatever. Nothing that special. So that's why sometimes I say that driving up A1A is not that glorious. Obviously there are beautiful parts like you saw in this video, but some parts are just flat out boring like this part. I'll see you guys in the next driving video, and you can check it out right on the screen here. I'll see you over there.